and welcome to our new episode of AskOla, where we dive deep into the world of HR with none other than our Director of Human Resources, Ola Haddad at Bayt.com, and I'm your host, Lozano Baydat. In each episode, we will explore the landscape of HR with our esteemed guest, Ola, and have her to share her rich knowledge and experience with us. So, whether if you are an employer, an HR manager, or a recruiter, you'll get your answers to all your job market questions. So happy to have you, Ola. Before we start, tell us more about yourself.
Thank you so much, Suzanne, for having me. So I'm Ola Haddad, and I've spent over 17 years diving into the world of human resources and operations. I hold a master's degree in marketing management, and my areas of expertise are around strategic planning, project management, and the human resources management. Currently, I'm proudly serving as the Human Resources Director at Bayt.com, where my main focus is around shaping talent strategies and driving organizational growth for over 2 decades now. That's the professional side of me. On a personal level, I'm someone who enjoys traveling a lot and exploring new cultures. So you always find me planning for my next adventure.
Interesting. As you know, the job landscape is evolving. What are the top key skills that recruiters are searching for in 2024?
That's a great question. So in the dynamic landscape of recruiting for talents, companies are aiming to drive innovation, productivity, and growth. And now with the recruitment process changing over time, we can see that recruiters are more concerned about finding top talents that have a blend of soft skills, hard skills, and also qualities that align with their organizational goals and values. So on top of these soft skills that we can highlight here are the following. One is adaptability. So adaptability is to what extent someone can adapt or change quickly to changes in environment, technology, situation within the work environment. And this is really important because recruiters are seeking to find talents that can thrive through a very fast-paced business environment. And one thing that pops to mind right now is, on top of adaptability, is the ability of someone to learn continuously and add new skills on an ongoing basis. Second, let's talk about communication. So effective communication, both verbal and written, are essential in order to foster a culture of collaboration, a way of communicating easily and sharing ideas, as well as building strong relationship with colleagues, with customers, and with clients.
I totally agree with you on this point. Communication is a key skill, especially for people who work on diverse culture companies.
Exactly. And the third thing we can mention here is problem solving. So companies and recruiters are looking for talents who do not fear any challenges, who are basically using that challenge as an opportunity for them to thrive. And on top of that, we can think of people who have critical mindset, who can always come up or propose solutions that are viable for the business and can solve any problems they're facing. And in order to be a problem solver, let's not forget about leadership. In order to be a problem solver, you have to have this leadership mindset inside you. So companies are looking for people who have the ability to influence others, who can take initiatives, who can start things within their team members and grow into a bigger project within the organization. So having people who take these initiatives, who can inspire others and motivate other team members to achieve a common goal is really important to look for within the organization. Last but not least, resilience. So think of our dynamics. It's very challenging. Businesses do face a lot of situations where they need to probably bounce back from failure and so on. So we need people, and recruiters are looking for those people who can face challenges, who can learn from mistakes and learn from experience, all of that while having a smile on their face, while having this positivity and positive attitude during their work.
Thank you for this remarkable insights. And now I want to shift the focus on the hard or technical skills. What do you think are the top technical skills that shouldn't be overlooked in candidates these days?
That's great. So although this is a very tough question to answer, because usually technical or hard skills are linked to a specific role. So we see, for example, software engineers, they have to have, for example, a coding skill, which is not needed in a marketing position.
True.
But let me tell you one thing. Our businesses are almost dynamic. and we all face challenges. And there are 3 top skills that I can think of as technical or hard skills are important for every role for every company. Those skills are analytical skills, project management, and financial literacy. And why they're important, whether you are an entry-level position or a candidate in a senior or a mid-career position, it is important that someone do have these skills in order to take the right decision, in order to be able to analyze different alternatives and situation, and be able to deliver on projects on time as per the business need.
Interesting. Absolutely, the data and the financial analysis is now a must-have.
Definitely.
Okay, so when it comes to different stages of hiring process, for example, pre-screening, interviewing, shortlisting, and even after hiring, what exactly do employers look for in candidates?
All right, I just want to tell you one thing first. Whoever is not in the HR field or have never been a recruiter before, they always feel that recruitment is an easy job to do.
Sure.
But believe me, you're absolutely wrong. And you're going to know why in the coming few minutes. So recruitment is not easy. And especially now, these days, as I mentioned, recruiters are looking for specific qualities, skills in candidates, and they would like to hire the top talent in the market. So I don't want to say they're picky, but they have the right to literally analyze each candidate to see who is the best fit.
Mm-hmm.
So let's dig deep a little bit into the process of recruitment, starting with the pre-screening process. And this is the process where recruiters do look into CVs, profiles of candidates, whether online or offline. And what do they look for? They actually read what's written in the CV, whether it's true or not.
Mm-hmm.
In the era of technology, the AI and the ChatGPT, you know that a lot of people might use ChatGPT to build a wow CV, right?
True, yeah.
But that might not be the reality of the candidate. So while reading a CV, it's really important for recruiters to look at, for example, educational level, to look at experience that matches the job description they're hiring for, to look probably for achievements that should be written in that CV. So that's the first trigger they should be looking for. And second thing, I'm proud to say that we have applied that in Bayt, is basically we did not stop at just reading the CV. But as part of the pre-screening process, we have incorporated video assessments.
Interesting.
Yeah. So video assessment is basically a set of questions that we have written, and of course, you can highlight or change the questions depending on the business need. It's basically a tool to help you not read the CV alone, but also listen to the candidate telling you about himself. You can ask a lot of questions like understanding the values of the candidate, understanding the achievements, probably assessing the communication skills, the verbal one, which is really important. And by just reading the CV, you cannot assess that. So the pre-screening stage is very critical. And from a job seeker perspective, it's his job to sell himself over a CV. But as a recruiter, we should be really smart in understanding which areas we can depend on the CV on its own, or we should upgrade our process and leverage on technology also to help us assess the quality of the candidate I'm speaking to. Looking into the interview stage, this is where we assess the candidate further in order to understand, for example, their communication skills, if it wasn't assessed previously. We look also into the candidates if he's a culturally fit candidate. And during the interview phase as well, a lot of recruiters do ask different type of questions, for example, problem-solving questions to understand the capabilities of those talent. Definitely the interview stage is very critical because it might be face-to-face or even online, but in general, it's the time of truth. It's where we literally understand if the candidate is truly what he says over his CV. And in that stage, sometimes companies do add different techniques or different assessments based on the position itself. It might be technical assessment, it might be a role-play assessment, depending on the position they're looking to hire. But at the end of the day, following the interview process is where the recruiter should be 100% aware if the candidate has the communication skills, the verbal one, if he is a culture fit to the organization, if he has the ability or the knowledge to help him fulfill the position they're going to hire for.
That's actually interesting. So employers are looking for different things in the different stages of hiring process. which brings me to my next question, which is what do you believe recruiters should do beyond the hiring process to ensure the long-term success and employee satisfaction?
Beautiful. So, in general, recruiters or the human resources department tends to forget this part. Our job is not only about hiring talents. Our job is hiring the top talents and retaining them. So definitely the evaluation and the support part shouldn't stop after hiring. And let's speak about a few things that we should look for or continue to do as best practices. One is definitely after hiring a candidate, there's the onboarding phase where we get someone new into the organization, train them, induct them into our culture. So at this part, the recruitment team or the HR department should also stay evaluating the candidates, should continue evaluating them and evaluating them to see to what extent they were able to be part of this culture, to be able part of a team, because this is really important. Following that, on an ongoing basis, we start evaluating the new hires or the joiners, I would say, based on their KPIs, to see to what extent they were able to achieve the key objectives they were hired for. Not only that, we look at to what extent also they're investing in themselves. They're learning continuously, they're adding to the team. So believe me, the evaluation does not stop at this stage. And that's why we insist to say that our job as recruiters is not only to hire, but also to retain the top talent.
That's a good point. Employers want to retain the employees for the long term. One more question before we wrap up. Do you have any advice for employers who are watching us now?
Well, allow me to take this opportunity just to highlight a few things. So, number one, I would say that all recruiters, including myself, should not undermine the values and the soft skills of a candidate. Believe me, a lot of time recruiters or companies end up hiring talent because they have the experience or they have the knowledge in a specific field. And we tend to just reject, for example, a fresh graduate or someone with the least experience. At this point of time, having the potential is more important than having the experience. If you have the right soft skills, if you have the right value, if you have the right culture fit, if you are a culture fit, then the potential of you joining the organization and growing with them is much higher than having a very experienced candidate just because he or she does have an experience. So let's look into soft skills and values as a really important factor in our decision when we hire people. Second thing I would say, let's cope with technologies. There's a lot of new technologies that are helping us in order to, one, reach the top talent. Second is be able to evaluate them and speak to them directly. Third thing is be able to take the right decision. A lot of technologies are there in the market. And believe me, by adopting such technologies, you're gonna save yourself the time, the efforts, the money in your recruitment process, and you'll make your process more efficient.
True.
On a last note, I just would like to close on a quick remark. Do not forget to invest in nurturing your team and building a culture of learning and development. It's really important because, again, we're hiring to retain those talents. So we have to give them this opportunity. And a lot of people were actually attracted to companies because they knew they have this sort of culture within the organization. Your training and development program can bring your team from this level up to that level.
Interesting. Thank you so much, Ola, for your remarkable insights.
Thank you, Rizan, for having me today.
And that's a wrap for today's episode of Ask Ola. Thank you so much for watching. Stay tuned for our next episode. And if you have any questions for Ola, please write it down in the comments and we will have it answered for you in the next episode. This is Luzan Ubaydat. Thank you so much.